Miss DeVille, I hope you're well. My name is Joshua Whittenberg, and I am part of your classical humanities class online at Folsom Lake College for the summer of 2021. And this is going to be my pilgrimage presentation, and the location I chose was the Sea of Galilee. So, just where is this place? The Sea of Galilee is located on the northeastern border of Israel. I've got two little maps here, so you can kind of see with my cursor. It's going to be right there on that northeastern border between Israel and Syria. Most of it actually is encompassed within the border of Israel, but there's a little place right there that borders Syria. So why did I choose this place? There's a couple different reasons for why I chose this place, but first and foremost is definitely because there were several significant miracles that Jesus performed on this body of water, which you can read about in the Bible. I'll get to that in a minute. Another reason is that it is pretty close to a lot of other places in the Middle East of historical significance that would attract me. Those include like Jerusalem, Nazareth, Bethlehem, kind of that whole Christian experience in Israel. It's close within reason to a lot of those places. So that's another reason I was drawn to this specific location. And then kind of more like specifically why I chose like this exact location, this body of water, is because personally I like the historical guarantee of accuracy, I guess, that this body of water provides, because there's other locations or places where it's kind of like, oh, Jesus did this like right here, or this happened right there. And while that might be true, I feel like personally, I really like the fact that like over the last 2,000 years, there's been no recorded event, some earth-shattering geological change that would have moved or altered the shape of this body of water. So we're able to read accounts of stuff that happened here and know it happened like right there. Whereas we can't exactly know like right where Jesus walked or right where a lot of this stuff happened, because cities change names, landscapes change, especially over 2,000 years. Whereas I feel like that a body of water is not necessarily subject to those same changes. So that's something that actually really drew me into this location as well. Religious historical significance and or miracles. So in the Bible, it's recorded Jesus performed a lot of miracles here, actually, including the instance where he walks on water, which can be read about in John 6:19 through 21. The instance where he calms the storm, which can be read about in Matthew 8:23 through 26. And the instance where he tells his disciple Peter, who at the time is not yet his disciple, who he'd been fishing all night, and he tells him to pick up his net and throw it on the other side of the boat. Um, and after having caught no fish for the whole night, he throws it over and catches thousands of fish. That instance can be read about in Luke 5:1 through 8. So those are the miracles and the religious significance of this place. There's some artist renditions of some of the events that happened there. So, yeah. Why is it popular? Why do people go? The Sea of Galilee's popularity and kind of the reason that people decide to go there is really, it centers around its close ties to the life of Jesus. Those three miracles that I mentioned earlier are a huge draw for a lot of people. That's same with me. And then pilgrims would go hoping to kind of gain a personal experience with like a tangible, like actual place, a location, a body of water where Jesus worked and lived. And that same for me as well. So if I'm going, who do I take? This one is easy. I would definitely take my best friend Michael. I met him in, I think, third grade at, we went to the same church. He's also a Christian, super fun to be around. I love hanging out with him. He lives down in Southern California, so I don't get to see him that often. So to be able to go to Israel with him and experience stuff like that is definitely something I would love to do at some point. That's the two of us. If you can't tell, I'm on the left and he's on the right. So how did we get there? I kind of looked around actually at some flights, and the next couple answers overlap each other a little bit for the questions, but we would leave if we had enough money, we would leave in like about a month from now, the 29th of August, and come back on the 12th. So that's like 2 weeks. And the actual route we would take, we'd take a flight from Sacramento to San Francisco, which is kind of how most international flights taking off from this area work. Sacramento, San Francisco, and then across North America to Montreal, Canada. And then from Montreal, it's just a straight shot across the Atlantic and most of Europe right into the airport in Tel Aviv. And then from Tel Aviv, we could take either like a bus or a train or maybe a taxi to actually get to the Sea of Galilee. Where would we stay? So neither of us are stupid rich, obviously. So cost effectiveness would have to be a priority were we to go. And I was kind of looking around at hotels in the area. And the Sweet Dreams Apartment Hotel is a very cost effective and actually really close place to the Sea of Galilee. It's only a third of a mile, so we could definitely walk and kind of see all the attractions around the Sea of Galilee without having to pay for transportation, which would be great because then that's one less thing we've got to pay for. And it's also not super expensive, and we can travel and live light. We don't need too much, so this is perfect for the two of us. So yeah, that was where we would stay if we were to go. What would we bring? Me and him can both pack and live light, kind of like I said before, but basic travel necessities, passports, phone and wallet, our Bibles, etc., just stuff like that. I have a Canon. I don't claim to be too into photography, but I have a good camera, so I definitely want to bring that just to take a lot of pictures, be able to kind of share the experience with others and remember it later. And then also, I kind of looked into this, but we would need to convert some money into the Israeli new shekel, which is the currency that they use there. So in order to have some money, that's what we have to do. So that's kind of what we would bring were we to go. When would we go? So I actually looked into this a little bit, and it's recommended that the months of April and May, as well as kind of like the area of September through November, those are the best months to go because the summers are pretty intense in the Middle East, especially Israel, and winters can be cold and rainy. So catching it in kind of that late spring and then early fall, those transition periods, the weather is a lot more moderate, which is why it's recommended to go then. As far as specifically for me and Michael, April and May is like right at the end of that spring semester. We're both in school, we're both working. So there's just a ton of stuff going on in life for both of us then, which kind of makes it a bad time to travel. And then September through November, October, November is kind of like we're right in the middle of the school semester. We could go, but it's not really an optimal time because we've got work and we're like it's right in the middle of the semester. And then November, we're kind of ramping up for fall finals and there's Thanksgiving and we're probably doing stuff back home. So we're trying to. I was going to try to shoot for like right at the end of August, at the beginning of September, so we can still get that good weather, but also not have to worry too much about school and work kind of tied into the end of summer vacation, I guess. How long would we go? This kind of depends person to person. If you just want to go to the Sea of Galilee and see the attractions there, you could probably get away with only going for a couple days. I'd maybe say 2 or 3. That would really give you some time to kind of just like scout out the Sea of Galilee. I know for us, we're paying a lot of money to go this far, which I'll get to in a second. And we're already going that far. I would want to stay for at least 2 weeks, so that it doesn't necessarily feel rushed and we're still able to fully experience the Sea of Galilee and then go to other locations like Jerusalem, Nazareth, Bethlehem, other places around Israel that we would want to visit because we have already gone that far. So yeah, for us, I would want to go for at least 2, possibly 3 weeks. But like I said, it depends really on how much you're looking to accomplish on your trip. How much money would we need? So when I was looking at flights, about the cheapest flights I could find for the time period we wanted were it was about $900 for a round trip ticket for one of us. So multiply that across 2 people, and that's going to bring us to about $1,800. And then the hotel we're staying at is about $120 a night. Multiply that across 2 weeks, which is how long we would be going, and that's going to put you at another 1,600, which brings us up to like $3,700. And then transportation, we can actually walk from our hotel to all the locations around the Sea of Galilee. But like if we were to take like a boat out on the actual sea, or get down to like Jerusalem, some other locations, we would need like a taxi to pay for the boat, a tram, whatever. So I kind of worked that out at about $200 to $300 for those 2 weeks. And then food, the hotel provides breakfast, but we'd be on our own for lunches and dinners. So across 2 weeks for two of us, I put it around $300 or $400. So all of those totals together puts us approximately in between $4,000 to $5,000, which splits to between $2,000 to $2,500 for each of us. That's kind of like on the low ball side, I guess. We would want to try to conserve money where we could. If we really like, if we want to just like go and have a lavish trip, really like just pay for a ton of experiences while we're there, then we're looking at like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in total. But yeah, for the purposes of this trip, because it's a religious pilgrimage, it'd probably be around $4,000 to $5,000. And then fears, concerns that I would have for this trip. Something that kind of came to mind right away, but isn't necessarily a huge concern of mine, but is still there, I guess, is kind of the tensity of the Middle East as a whole region. I know that there's a lot of international conflicts, wars. Israel is oftentimes at odds with several other nations in the Middle East, and there's been fighting and battles and stuff that have gone on the last couple of years there. So that's not necessarily a huge concern of mine, but it is there. And I guess the reason I mention it is because for me, like traveling somewhere like Hawaii or Europe or something like that, like that's not a concern at all. Whereas here it kind of is. So that's definitely, I guess, something that kind of jumped out at me. And then this is more like on a personal note, but logistical challenges, stuff like missed flights, or like the hotel doesn't work out, or like transportation issues, little stuff like that kind of freaks me out just thinking about it, because I like to know like, okay, like we're taking this plane, we're landing at this time, we're getting in this taxi, and then we're like staying at this hotel, and like we have it all planned out. So I guess like little stuff that doesn't go according to plan can kind of throw me off kilter. Um, but other than that, there weren't too many like immediate like massive concerns about this trip. So yeah, I think those two kind of encompass what I would be worried about were we to actually take this trip. And then here's my works cited page. I've got two more. I think there's that one, and then this one, and then one more. I had a super fun time working on this project. I actually learned a ton about what it would like realistically take to travel that far. And traveling actually has always been a dream of mine. I've always wanted to travel to Europe and then maybe to Israel as well. So this project kind of helped me like envision, okay, if I wanted to do this, how would I actually get there? So yeah, I had a great time working on this project. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to watch it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.